Another episode of Write Once, Read Many. This time we are covering chapter 19.y, which is not actually part of the story. It was removed. And I'm going to delete this link.
And then send the second link.
Exactly.
Better than ever. Wow, I love this never before seen art that's on screen.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Really cool. Kind of reminds me of Beastars.
Yeah, as if a beast was a star. I understand of the way, look, I know what it means in the context of the show. I know what the Beastar is. I just can't really fathom how that, I mean, obviously, it was probably written with a longer view in mind, but I just, like, that did not factor into the plot of what I saw.
of season 1, but I'm fairly sure it pops off in season 2, doesn't it?
We watched part of season 2 and then kind of halted and...
Yeah, same. The snake was too much.
Yeah, we saw the milk snake and then we were like, wow.
Not only is she a milk snake,
intense.
but she's also like a cop and she's like a detective or something.
Yeah. It's true.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah. So I was showing somebody this art earlier, this all too familiar art, and well, we're gonna see another art piece in a moment, and they had thought that perhaps that this was the old version, and
it would make sense.
Well,
God, I hadn't seen it like in a while because not since I uploaded it. I think something just happened in the export process or something. Really weird.
Well, it was just so funny because like I show it, and the person is like confused. They do like a reply like, "Is this the older one?" And it doesn't actually show which one. It's just like at attachment, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's the older one." It's so stupid. Yes. 19.y. It's a commentary on cloning an image.
Deep fried tattletale. Is all I have to say.
Yeah, it's true. Let's see here. I get my stuff ready. So I have the audience participation reminder, which is 19.y. How would you change the chapter to try to make it work?
Make it work, designers.
Make it work. Yeah. And hello, people. 2 + 4 × 5, Vale and Greg. We're glad you're here. So, the themes, meaningless bloodlust is what you put here.
Yeah, that's what I came up with. There's a lot of meaningless it's I guess it's ironic because it's like Tattletale, whom I will just be calling Tattletale probably, is like, oh, fucking Shatterbird, she's not actually a genius. She just likes meaningless bloodlust. And then that's like also her theme of the chapter, but I feel like it's not. I don't know. Maybe it could have gone a different way.
Because of other outside things of like, there's a reference to like the idea that Witness does exist near the end of Ward, but it's not directly a thing. Sorry, half of a medium spoiler about a thing that doesn't end up mattering plot-wise.
No, because I was literally thinking about that earlier. I was like, I bet that like he just kept Witness like like in the back of his mind as a character, but like it's not relevant to Harry's story, so we don't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. And this is just I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like it was definitely like maybe they could be reformed, where it's like at the end of this chapter, as we'll kind of get to, like I still feel like this is themey. That's why I'm talking about it now. But it's like the kind of like we even these evil clones could reform and turn around. So I do definitely see that, because it's like the micro beginning of an arc where she's like, fake it till you make it, and she doesn't think that, but she is like, I've gotta pretend to be good, basically, and then
Yeah,
we'll spend a lot
it's
of
kind of
time
like
pretending to be good.
well, it's kind of like the beginning of Worm, where they're like, "Oh, come into our evil group," and she's like, "Ah ha ha! Like this will all serve my greater plan." That doesn't really work
Oh,
out
to
like
this
that.
sort of new person, there is a long story called Worm that is about superheroes, and that's what this stream is about. So yes, there you go. Uh, asked and answered. Do you have any other themes you want to talk about for this chapter?
That is really all I could think of. Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll talk about it more. I feel like maybe I was primed for the chapter in a specific way because like we knew that it was removed. Like I wonder if this was like published and I had read it like at the time, what I would have thought about it or whatever.
I kind of
But
want to add a section maybe for interludes going forward where we talk about the character voice just a little bit before we do that.
mhm, yeah.
I mean, do you want to talk about the character voice? I was going to say that's kind of one of the problems almost. I thought the
Yeah,
character
I
voice
feel like
was,
that was kind of the weakness,
yeah.
like the main weakness of this chapter was the character voice because it feels a little out of line with this is 19 point Y, so where exactly in the plot does that fall?
This is when all the Noel stuff is said and done, but before the like forums one, which I think the forums one might have been a replacement for this.
So that's kind of what was like confusing me because I felt like Tattletale's tone didn't like super align with like what else we had seen from the clones. Um, like like she was kind of lacking a lot of information about almost like about things that Tattletale would have known very well. And he there's like this overlay of like, oh, like I'm like bloodthirsty and I want to destroy all the people that I know and then like all my friends and then all my enemies and then the entire world or whatever, but it didn't like come through except when Tattletale was talking about it directly, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Like it didn't really shine through in the voice. It was just a little bit of a strange voice because um I feel like um let's see what Vale said. There's
I
an
agree with
exception
what
with
Vale
Lisa,
said.
Taylor, Alec, Rachel, Brian about their voice that make them super hard to write variations.
Yeah, I feel like
Oh, and expectation, sorry.
I feel like for the main the core people, like
Yeah.
especially because I guess less so for Tattletale's first chapter. I actually don't think that that's like. I think she's got the weakest of all the Undersider chapters, to be honest. But I think the other
Yeah.
three, they each have a quite a powerful chapter, and
Yeah.
like that is one of my like minor complaints about the book. Like I wish we could get a different like 8.x that was a little more honed in.
Yeah, yeah. And so then like going into this, it was also like it wasn't tattletale enough, but it also wasn't like echidna enough or bloodlusty enough. I felt like it should it, and I like, I could see that maybe part of it is that like they aren't like full-fledged people, the clones, like they're a little bit like flatter versions of themselves, and that could be the case. But I don't know. It was a little bit lackluster as far as character voice went.
You know what I was just thinking of is that an interlude, unlike a normal chapter, is probably like if Wildbow is to rewrite a version and just like plunk it down instead would probably be the ideal spots to do that, because it's supposed to feel like a different tone and character voice and stuff. So the fact that he's a better writer now, I mean, it might stand out, but it wouldn't be completely jarring. Like if it was like a Taylor chapter, like, because honestly, like if you were to put like a modern Wildbow chapter in place of like, I don't know, like 6.5 or just some random early Taylor chapter, I think that'd be a disaster. Because if nothing else, it would kind of highlight the area around it and be like, oh, that's kind of a re-dip in quality. but I don't think it would be bad with like Lisa's chapter, which I've always, sort of not been that good.
Yeah, I agree. I think we could dip our toes into that. I don't know. This chapter made me like, oh man, like I wish that it was from the perspective of a Skitter clone, because he would have popped off with that.
Yeah, because he's better at writing Skitter.
Yeah. Which is fine. Skitter's,
She's the main character. You've written a lot of
Yeah, she's the main character. He has a lot of practice with her.
Yeah.
Many, 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 many hours more than with Tattletale. So, yeah. Should we get into the overview?
Yes.
So, I'm gonna call her Tattletale. She's a clone. She's not Tattletale. She's kind of Tattletale a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe like a Tattletale tincture.
Apparently she got grabbed up for just a little second, just a moment, and then
just one little
clone.
slurp.
Just one clone.
Yeah. So Tattletale is scrambling around during the Echidna fight, trying to get to safety, but there's like barf everywhere, and her head's like so big and heavy. She can't even like stand all the way upright. She's like dragging her head around like literally throughout all of these scenes, I'm pretty sure.
Because she's got kind of like strong-ish arms, but they're like not very mobile, and then really weak legs. So she's like, she's like an earthbound enemy.
Yeah. I can picture it. Unfortunately I didn't depict that for everyone here. And the ceiling is falling down. They're like in the Coil's underground base, and so there's like, not only is the ceiling falling down, but there's like dirt and earth and construction equipment on top of it. It's all falling down and crushing Echidna, and she's like yelling to all her minions, do something. So Tattletale asks, she's like, are you talking to me? Like she was just bored. So but she's having trouble speaking with all like her facial deformities, but she tells her that she can't really help because her head's too big to move around, and Echidna's like pretty irritated with everyone. So Gru shows up to help Echidna, and he greets Tattletale and apologizes that he has to help Echidna rather than her. It's like, it kind of is like a really, like, I loved this Gru character. He only talks like 2 or 3 times, but he's like just really sweet.
Yeah.
He just like cares about Tattletale, and it's so cute. But Tattletale agrees that
yet
it's
another
the best
bummer
move.
chapter where we have to be like, oh, no, it's sad. It was already sad before, but now it sucks.
But now it's super sad. Yeah, so Tattletale's like, yeah, it obviously makes the most sense to save Echidna because they're all Echidna brained. So she oh man, I totally lost.
They're all like, Noelle's the best character.
They're all like, oh, Noelle's just so much smarter and more capable and more evil than us. Like, we have to save her out of anybody here. She's like sitting there fantasizing about like, oh, first I'll like go head to head with the real Tattletale, and I'll make her feel stupid, and I'll eat her fingers off, and then I'm gonna destroy the Undersiders, and then I'm gonna destroy the city, and then I'm gonna destroy the world, and then I'm gonna destroy the multiverse. She's got like big aspirations.
She's really scaling up as she goes. I mean,
yeah. I had to like remember back to like these chapters, and I was like, I guess that was what people were talking about. Like they're all like, they're all like targeting first like the people in their real lives, and then they're like, and then I'll kill everyone. Like the one specifically that Taylor talks to
He just
is it
kept
Taylor who
scaling
talks to
up.
him?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, after I kill her, I'll just kill the world. It made me like this. And she's like, and then she doesn't feel so bad killing them.
Yeah.
Phil said, step one, eat fingers? This is not a normal Tattletale plan. Yeah, that was like our first clue that this isn't the real Tattletale, was when she was like, and then I'll eat her fingers off and decapitate her and all this crazy stuff.
Eat
But
those fingies.
thingies. But yeah, she decides to put her plans to the side to keep Echidna in play. And she thinks to herself that she and Gru are extremes of themselves, like they're normal copies, and she's kind of gravitating toward the choleric humor, and he's gravitating toward the choleric humor, and she's gravitating toward the phlegmatic humor.
I've
Which
always
I
thought
don't
the
know a
four
lot of
humors
other
were
humors.
dumb.
I always kind of thought those were the dumbest ones, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
like even out of all the like which thing are you? Like it felt like the worst possible version of which Ninja Turtle are you?
Yeah.
And I've seen
So
like so many
Tattletale,
things where they like try and fit four characters into it, and I'm like, you're really stretching
it
there,
just never
bud.
it just never works. And like they're like, "Oh, this one's angry and this one is gross." Like I don't understand what the what the breakdown of them is, but um yeah, so Tattletale asks Gru to bring her to another nearby ally that she can hear talking to Echidna, and he does transport her. And it turns out to be Shatterbird, just normal Shatterbird, not a duplicate Shatterbird.
Standard
And
Shatterbeak.
Tattletale asks her to reinforce the walls around them with her power, and Shatterbird's like, "Shut the fuck up. Um, you don't tell me what to do." And Gru teleports out himself and Echidna from the building. It's not doing too hot. It's like the whole ground is shaking and there's shit
Oh.
falling from the ceiling like crazy. Um, and let's see. And Tattletale, like can't see anything because her head, as we said, is like just laying on the ground. But suddenly the vibes are different, and her power tells her that Shatterbird did, in fact, make a dome. Yeah, William, you were talking about like the domes and triangles.
Yeah, that pyramids and spheres were the strongest shapes, and I was like, that I have a new meme line. Now I just anyway.
It's like I just don't know why Tattletale would say that.
I don't know when it's gonna come up, but I feel like that either I'm gonna say that to somebody or they're gonna say it to me, and it'll be the
Yeah,
greatest moment of my life.
pyramids and spheres are the
Of the
strongest
strongest
shapes.
shapes. It really
Um,
struck me when I read that line. I was just like, hell yeah.
Phil said he jokes about cholera. That was super rude in the 1800s. Are those the strongest shapes? I mean, I think they
Yes.
are. I for sure for the triangles and the pyramids. Triangles are the strongest shape. Um, I don't know so much about domes.
But I've taken a little picture of one of two enemies. This is not the one I was thinking of, but when I saw its form, I was like, yes. That are
Ugh.
from the game Mother 3. That I'm like, yeah, these both kind of remind me of possibly Witness. So we're gonna get
Mhm.
the first one,
Okay.
the Forlorn
Oh
Junk
God.
Heap from Mother 3.
His legs are much too strong.
Yeah. No, this is not my ideal. I just saw it
That's
and
your
I'm
number
like, this could be. This enemy that I'm going to be showing you is called the Hefty Head.
one.
And it. Let's see here. I'm also going to grab a snip of it, even though it's going to disrupt the stuff again. This is the second possibility.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely it. It's even like kind of naked and and that fox-like grin on his face, you know.
Yeah, but this is instantly what I thought of when you were like, I'm not sure what it looks like, and I'm like, well, kind of like that Mother 3 enemy, right?
Yeah, something like this. Spindly little legs, big buff arm, big giant noggin.
Because it uses psychic powers, some of the strongest psychic powers of the whole game. Yeah. Oh
Two
my
most
god,
recognized
it's
types of.
Scrappy, Weld's goopy half sibling with a Tinkerbell.
Oh God.
Oh
Dude,
no.
imagine if Witness joins the Irregulars and then instead of Sveta and Weld hitting it off, Witness and Weld hit it off.
Oh.
You know, to further her evil plans.
Well, I was
And then
also
he's
gonna
like,
say like that's her evil twist on Tattletale later on when she says that
is that she's straight?
when she says that she's got the sexual thrill or whatever.
Oh my God, yeah. I was like, okay. Tattletale would never say such a thing. No.
That's why it's
Oh
evil
my God.
Tattletale.
That's why it's Evil Tattletale. It's like Evil Taylor is asexual Taylor because it's so different than
Yeah.
usual. She's able to do so many more evil things when she's not just thinking about how hot people are.
Or consider this. That could be one clone, but another clone perhaps is Taylor where she just says all the gross stuff she thinks about.
Oh, I was thinking, hey mama lesbian
Yeah,
Taylor.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah. She's doing a lot of like hand rubbing, but she does it more like a fly than a hey mama.
Yeah, yeah. And well, she would be going after like Rachel and Tattletale, people who
Yeah,
like should
yeah.
be off limits, but she's just right in there.
Yeah, for real.
Hey,
Well,
I know I'm your emotional support and like really a pillar in your like whole deal, but hey.
Phil said successful stand-up comedian Taylor evil version. Oh my
Mm-mm.
gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, dude, if Taylor was exactly the same, except she was good at making quips during fights and stuff. Oh
Mm-hmm,
my
mm-hmm.
God. She would have been unstoppable.
Yeah. She couldn't have that much
Yeah.
power because she'd seem like a Mary Sue.
Yeah, you're just way OP. Um, anyways, they're in a dome. They're in the strongest shape possible. And it like this was the other thing. I felt like things weren't maybe being described super clearly, but like it seemingly the whole building like did collapse around them.
Well, I think we're supposed to
While she was
like
building the comb.
I think we're supposed to like fill in a lot of the gaps because this is after they would have done the in
Right.
18.3 or whatever when they do the bomb and it collapses the whole fort onto Echidna.
Right.
So this is like that scene happening and
Yeah,
then
just from a different perspective.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, so Shatterbird and Tattletale are trapped in the dome all by themselves, and Shatterbird's like, "I'm gonna have so much fun killing you. It's gonna be great." And Tattletale's like, "Actually, you should kill yourself."
It was a bold
Um,
play, Cotton. Let's see if it
it
pays
was.
off.
It's a bold play, and she does it before she does a read on Shatterbird, which is very funny. Because she like says it and then she's like, hold on, I gotta like think through this real quick and back up my claims.
Yeah, yeah.
Shatterbird's like, uh, yeah, so she does a read on her power and she picks up mostly like that she's reputation driven and in an easily manipulated state at the moment since she was, she like just came out of being mind controlled for several months, I think. And she tells Shatterbird that if she kills her like this, then Tattletale's just gonna think of her as a wimp, and she's like the last person to have ever seen her before she dies of suffocation. It's gonna be so fucking pathetic.
She
She's just
basically
going
says
off.
in Greg's voice, she goes, "Loser," and then you feel so
Loser.
bad that
Yeah, it was like
she
this, like
got
all these moves
Shatterbird's
are
ass.
crazy. So this was the other thing that was throwing me off. It was like it's like she had very little prior knowledge on Shatterbird,
Mm-hmm.
um, as if she like hadn't done readings on her before, and that was what confused me a little bit. Is like I felt like Tattletale like didn't have like the full scope of her memories, like especially when it came to like she would recognize people, but then she like wouldn't remember things about them. Like everybody knows that Shatterbird is ego driven. Like of course Tattletale knew that she was ego driven.
I think that's part of the weakness of the thing. I think that she just
Yeah.
should have known that.
Yeah, I think that or like there could have been things more hinting that like
That
since
she
she was
only had
half
partial
baked.
knowledge. Well,
Yeah,
she says
exactly.
she's overbaked.
Yeah, oh, yeah. She's overbaked. She should know more than normal Tattletale.
Yeah, she's got big brain, actually. She's
She's just
actually, you know what?
she's just a
She's
little
big
bit
brain Tattletale.
crispy. Big brain Tattletale. Um, but yeah, so she's like, Shatterbird's like, oh, I see what you are now. Like, just to be clear, this Tattletale clone is like so unrecognizable. Like nobody can even tell who it is. They're also naked, which like I didn't like remember until she specifically mentions how naked she is.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes all the fighting in Arc 19 way more fucked up. They're like,
yeah,
just,
they're like all naked.
yeah.
At least they're deformed. It's fine.
Well,
So Tattletale,
the evil Eidolon, like, specifically, he made him and Alexandria, evil Alexandria clothes, and I thought that was funny.
I did think that was cute. He was like, let's do like our normal outfits, but evil.
Evil!
But more evil. Um, so she's like, oh my God, you're the famous Tattletale. And Tattletale just continues to describe how horrible Shatterbird's death is going to be. And she keeps talking. She like repeatedly, over and over and over again, like 8,000 times, is talking about how Shatterbird's gonna shit herself. Like
I
when she's
also was
dying.
like, I'm glad this isn't in the chapter, or in
I,
the real
I don't know, I kind
chapters.
of thought it was funny. I'm kind of pro this part.
Bro, shit yourself. Yeah.
It's
Well,
just, it's
listen,
just,
I do find
this
it
is
personally
kind of.
funny, but I'm like, when I'm gonna be showing someone a thing.
I know, but it is like accurate to Tattletale's style where she'll say something and then you'll be like, oh, like I'm
Ugh,
glad that she's not gonna say that again. And then she'll just keep like every time she calls Glory Girl Glory Hole, like even at the start of the book, I
yeah.
like was like so uncomfortable with that. Like I don't know. I don't like there's a reason that Tattletale gets under people's skins, and it isn't always because she's doing things the most clever way. Sometimes she's just being really irritating.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so she's just like keeps talking about how embarrassing it's gonna be like when cause they're like in this dome, so they're gonna like die of she's gonna die of suffocation in some amount of time. And it's gonna be like so embarrassing when they dig her up and she's covered in shit. And so she pitches an alternative, which is that it's going to be that Tattletale herself could be the one who dies covered in shit instead of Shatterbird. They'll dig her up and she'll be like serenely dead slash murdered right next to the gross, shitty, nasty Tattletale. And then she'll be infamous instead of being a laughing stock. It's all about contrast. And Shatterbird's like, this is a ploy. And Tattletale's like, yeah, like clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
So, yeah, they kind of, I guess they just like sit in silence for a little bit,
For like 45
before,
minutes, it says.
yeah, for 45 minutes.
Now, let me see.
Bef
It's something like that. It's like
I
kind
think
of
it's like
ridiculous.
34 minutes.
Yeah, let's see here. From one track, 43 minutes since we last spoke to each other. Ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah,
That's like the
crazy. So
entire
they just
fight.
didn't. Yeah. They sit in silence for a while, and then Shatterbird just poetically talks about how much this sucks by quoting Edgar Allan Poe, and she says that culture is and education is what sets us apart from animals. And Tattletale is like, you dress up like a bird and murder people for fun. And Shatterbird knows that Tattletale is like starting, quote unquote, starting to play mind games, but launches into her dramatic backstory anyways. I didn't write out the backstory, but I wondered if you wanted to go over it. I actually have to go to the bathroom, so
Okay, so
you can do that while
I'm
I pee.
I'm I am gonna kind of be describing how it is, and then once you're back, I'll describe how I feel about it. Um, so her backstory is she her father was a very influential person in like the United Arab Emirates, and he had bodyguards all the time, and he had to have bodyguards for his wife and his kids. And at first, I thought they were going to be like, and then he got me powers so that I could defend myself with powers. But then it was like his enemies bought a cauldron vial to spike her with the power, with a formula that was very likely to produce a like monstrous form. And we have found in the past that things that are closer to like the risky side produce really powerful powers. So this does kind of track on that system, but I mean, it's very. I guess it's a strange choice to give somebody a superpower vial through like spiking a drink. But I mean, I don't know. And the way we saw it happen with the previous characters, you kind of have to throw the whole thing back, or it's like extra bad. So I don't know. It seemed very strange to me. I was trying to string it along longer, but there's not much there. She once she gets the power, she accidentally does a glass explosion and kills like her whole family by accident all at once, and also the people who spiked the drink. And she's like, I killed hundreds, if not thousands, of people, and twice that were injured. Um, yeah,
I'm back,
exactly,
but I was
Greg.
listening.
Surely there are more effective and less expensive options.
Okay, but it was kind of funny.
It does seem like there are better ways to spend $10 million than to mess with somebody. I had the thought as I was speaking just now that perhaps the vial was extra cheap because they got the super dangerous type where it was really likely to mutate you, and then like
I feel like it could have been
they
like a
kind of
couple
broke
thou,
contract.
maybe like 6,000 you could do, you know.
Because like what's her name was gonna sell a house and then get like and then take out like a loan of several powers uses, and then just already have like batteries power isn't that bad, it's fine.
Yeah, didn't she get like a pretty safe one though?
Yeah.
Like it's like
But
a safe lane
that's
one.
kind of what I'm saying is yeah, I think that the super unsafe one, but I don't think Cauldron would go along with the idea that you're gonna spike it to people, because like if they were gonna do that, they'd just do it, you know.
They just do it. Maybe
um
it was I don't know. Maybe they were trying to do something though. Some weird like, they always got weird cauldron plans
Vale's
going
pretty
on.
funny sometimes. Maybe it did change your body, but it changed her so much it's just a different human now.
I was like maybe like her mask is to cover like a real beak or something.
Oh, Shatterbeak. Yeah.
Oh, Shatterbeak.
Oh my god. That's
Yeah, I don't know. It was like I did think it was an interesting backstory because like it does like change this idea that like oh, like Shutterbird comes from like this wealthy family or whatever, and she's a cauldron cape, so like this is clearly how it happened, but then it wasn't, and then I don't know.
I
I
think
think we
it's
could have done something with
I
it.
think it's a little weak. I think the fact that like the way that I had interpreted it in the past is that she or someone else had bought this power for her and she just decided to use it in this terrible way, and that like it wasn't that, because I know that a lot of them have like sad backstories and like whatever, but like if you think about it, a lot of them have really mundane backstories actually.
Yeah.
um and I kind of like I like that to be there, like that she could just be this rich, arrogant person who's willing to kill like untold number of people just because
Yeah.
she's like that.
Well, that's still the case, definitely. I feel like that's what like
I don't
at least
even.
that's what
I
Tattletale's
feel like I don't know what I'm supposed to
pushing.
feel about her after I've, listened to all of the things that evil Tattletale has to say in her own head. Like,
Yeah.
it felt like she was off base in some places, and I was just like,
Yeah,
I don't
where
know. Like, what am I
like the
supposed to take
pushing
from
of
this?
like her being like, "Oh, you're just a faceless killer," but like she's like trying to harp on Shatterbird's reputation. Being quote unquote just a killer like doesn't take down like I feel like it doesn't knock down your reputation really like when you're doing the stuff that she's doing. Um it's not like people that would find out that she has this innate bloodthirst and they'd be like, ah,
I can't
typical
believe
serial
the
killer.
person who's
She's
killed all those people
she's not
has bloodlust.
she's not even cool and interesting and doing it for some poetic reason. But like she's not pushing that. So I don't I agree. I don't really exactly know. Like I do understand the like the reputation part. Like she is like it's true. She doesn't want to be found in like this bubble, like having like starved, like died in some horrible way, and it's all like gross and gruesome, and it like it comes off as like a very human death when she like doesn't want to come off like that or whatever. Um, but I don't understand the part where she's like, "Prove it! Prove you're just a ruthless killer."
Well, she's like, I put her under more pressure because since she's used to the Slaughterhouse Nine, she's used to more pressure. But
She
like,
loves pressure.
I don't. I guess I'll go with it for now.
Well, after the backstory, or during the backstory, or whatever. Tattletale, I keep calling her Tattle, I'm so sorry. Tattle hears a scratching or scraping sound nearby. I'm sorry my dogs are wrestling in the back, if you
Yeah,
can
but
hear
as
them.
as discussed just before that we started, it is
It's
their
their birthday, so they can do whatever they want.
it's their alt birthday. They'll go back to their real
It's their
birthday next year.
they'll go back to their real the poor babies. I was so mean to them yesterday. I like groomed them for like several hours. Happy birthday. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, so there's like a scraping sound coming from like one side of the dome. And she realizes that Shatterbird has to be hearing it too because she can hear the sand. So they're both kind of like pretending that they can't hear that there's something or someone nearby. And Tattletale realizes this means she needs to hurry up in her efforts to properly mindfuck Shatterbird, and she starts really digging in her claws. And she tells her that she tells her the brute force approach doesn't line up with Shatterbird's like self-proclaimed value of culture and civility. And I pulled a quote here.
It's of course I do, Shatterbird retorted, her voice sharp. It's power. It's not the brute force, it's the psychological effect. It's about leaving a lasting impression, making an impact that reaches through your victims to affect their loved ones, an effect that ripples outward, resounding. And then it says tone, speech pattern, phrasing, parroted words. That's Jack's ideology, not yours. That's right, that's Tattle.
It's always behind every bad ideology is Jack.
Yeah.
Like standing behind their shoulder, saying some stupid shit. So Shatterbird's like, well, you know how me and Jack are. We're birds of a feather. And
Well,
Tattletale
this was
is like,
another part where I was
hell yeah.
like, eyebrow up? What? I guess. I just never.
Kind of it's kind of like picked up and dropped really quickly. I thought that it was gonna be like the premise of like the breaking, like Shatterbird's breaking point. I thought
Yeah,
this was what
I
Tattletale was
thought
gonna
that
go with.
too. But
That
yes,
like,
it
oh,
was picked
she's
up
like
and
has
set
this
down
like,
very fast.
yeah, she has like these unrequited feelings for Jack or whatever, which it's like implied that she has like Tattletale's power is simultaneously saying like she's got some sort of interest in Jack, but that Shatterbird herself it like refuses to like romantically engage in relationships. So I don't really know what that means. But so she tells Shatterbird that Jack didn't respect her as an equal and that he was just humoring her, which is definitely true. Um,
I mean, I think Jack is like
and
a weird demon, and I think that the only reason that there's not like a bunch of sexual stuff is so that it's like not in the book, but like that if he was kind of quote unquote real, that there would be a lot of that too. You
yeah,
know?
this is like a Voldemort and oh
Bellatrix
my
didn't fuck.
gosh. Yeah, and Bellatrix like situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's like she's talking about how Shatterbird's like always had a hand in everything with the Slaughterhouse Nine. She's like their main recruiter, but in the end, he loves Bonesaw more, and Shatterbird is just plain boring. All of this is true. So, Tattletale tells her to admit that she wasn't just copying those around her and feigning intelligence this whole time. Vale said, she does call him Voldy in the books. You have a point there.
Oh, Voldy.
Oh,
Um.
Voldemort.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just she's kind of jumping around on a lot of topics. She starts with being like, "Oh, you have this perspective that you're like that you value culture and civility, but you're just a brute." And then she goes to like, "Oh, you like Jack doesn't respect you." And then she goes to the fact that she says that I want to pull the quote because I was like, what is happening here? um Feigning. You're trying to hide behind words, shitbird, not an option with me. Try again. Tell me you weren't merely feigning intelligence. Tell me you aren't just copying the best parts of the monsters around you. To me, this seems like a different point. Like that. I mean, it's kind of the same point where it's like you're not actually cultured and this and that, but I don't really get it.
Yeah, she's kind of all over the place, and the excuse could be that she keeps like thinking to herself, "I need to apply pressure in more places" or whatever. But
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
think
I
usually
don't
applying
know.
pressure in one place really
Yeah.
well.
I'm gonna break down this wall by putting an even amount of force on the entire wall. It's gonna be a small but even amount of
Gonna actually
force.
just shove the whole wall just a little bit, and then we'll do that 80 times, and then the wall will be somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah. This is gonna work, guys.
Luckily though, we don't have to hear any more of this because light floods in. Oh my gosh, and Tattletale grabs and hauls on the hand that appeared with a flashlight through the opening. It is Vista, literally the best person who could be here.
Yeah,
Only
yeah.
person who could get us out of this situation. So Tattletale like throws her body on her, and she continues taunting Shatterbird, and she's like, "Prove you're nothing more than a common killer." And she's like squeezing Vista's shoulders to try to get her to do something. This is an iconic moment because because IRL Tattletale has this problem all the time where she's trying to like drop hints to people, but she's doing it really poorly.
See,
Like
this
she's
part
like,
is the part of the chapter that I thought was really good. Like this
yeah,
specific part, and then the very end, I thought was actually okay. But anyway.
yeah. I just thought, I was like, yes, like this is classic Tattletale, like doing like indicating things that
Mm-hmm.
are like really vague. She's always making hand signals to Taylor, and then Taylor's like, I don't know what you're
You
saying.
know what? She
Um,
should be able to use her own power to observe the person she's communicating with, and the fact
I
that they're not fucking getting it.
I know. I think that the problem like is her own power getting in the way, where she's like, ah, yes, if I say killer, then she will hear it as kill her, and then she'll do it. It's like, what are you talking about? Those are Why would that happen?
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's what she thinks here. She's like, prove you're not just a killer. And then she's like, killer, kill her. Vista, can't you see the hints that I'm dropping? Poor Vista, like busted into the craziest situation. Um, so yeah, she's like squeezing Vista's shoulders and like trying to get her to do something. And Vista starts, as she does, because you know Vista's not stupid. She starts warping a structure above Shatterbird. So Shatterbird attacks with her glass. It's just kind of a shitty attack because there's not a lot to work with. And Vista successfully
A gritty
drops her a
attack.
slab of, yeah, gritty. And she just drops a big slab of concrete onto her. So she dead.
How's that for a blunt instrument?
She
Says Tattletale.
Oh my God, she's dead, and she's definitely covered in shit.
So much
Phil
shit.
said so much shit. Phil said it will only work because wall is not the strongest geometric shape. True. Yeah,
Mm.
it wouldn't have worked on a dome. Um, so Vista's like, what the fuck are you? And Tattletale's like, Echidna got me,
This
and
part
me and
ruled when
she.
she's like, Tattletale, Echidna, it's a monster who mutates
Yeah,
people.
Echidna mutates people, and
It's so
if
good.
we don't hurry, then all the team members are gonna turn into gross monsters like me. But hold on a second, because Vista was the first person captured. So wouldn't Vista know that this isn't true?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like she should.
Yeah, she should.
It seems
Vista's a
like
dumbass.
well, it seems like the idea is that she got totally blindsided and doesn't know about the clones that were created of her,
Yeah,
etc. But
yeah.
you know, I guess.
She probably should remember some of it. Um,
Yeah.
So yeah, Vista starts working with her power to get them free. But this was like a very good Tattletale move. Like she's like, I'm the real Tattletale. And he made me hideous. Vista doesn't question like, why are you all so naked?
Yeah. Yeah.
Echidna, she's a monster that absorbs clothes.
She's a monster.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like a really shitty like hentai game.
God. Well, I maybe the whole thing is that okay, so Echidna wasn't named that when she attacked Vista even.
Right.
So I guess she's
She could
also
think it's
banking
someone
on
else.
the idea that it's just like a totally different thing.
Yeah, that could be true. So they make it to the surface because it's Vista, so it's really no big deal. And Tattletale, she like goes up to strangle Vista, and then she's like, huh, better not, because she can see Skitter's bugs like moving. It looks like the fight's over, and Skitter's heading
She's like,
home.
I should just
Um,
kill her or whatever.
yeah, she's like, oh, I'm glad that my hands are so strong and that Vista's neck is so tiny and weak.
I feel like Vista would have killed her if she tried some shit.
She would. She would just have
I
killed her.
I feel like she would have either like used an overlapping like weird spike. She could probably sense her coming up because of the fucking physicality of her power, where she can sense when
Right.
she can and can't move stuff.
Right.
And like she probably like she could have turned her little gauntlets into spiked gauntlets and kind of knocked her block off. There's all sorts of things that could have happened.
I feel like there's like also just people nearby. Like I know that it's like kind of a spread out battlefield, but it's not that spread
Yeah,
out.
she walks like around a single corner and finds like 10 people.
Yeah, Vista's like, I think so. I don't know. Like it wouldn't have worked, but it's like whatever. This isn't even like really when this character is being like murdery and stuff, it's like either she's being tattletale or she's being murdery, and they don't like interlap a lot, I feel.
Yeah, I feel
Um,
like this perspective was so hard to write for, and like
yeah.
that's why I feel like kind of dumb, like saying some of my criticisms because I'm like, it was just like it was such a bold thing to try and do
hmm
the evil tattletale perspective. It's so hard to like manage, and like you'd think she'd be thinking about kind of her goals more, which she doesn't. I don't
She
know.
doesn't because they're like weird, vague echidna goals, which like we saw was an issue during the fight, where like the clones have like this general sense of like kill, 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 but only people with like kind of their more protective nature like Gru has are like actually doing what needs to be done. So I like understand that that's the case. It just like doesn't make for like I guess it just doesn't make for like a great like storytelling perspective when it's like when it's kind of like this baseless like bloodthirstiness that doesn't it's not really going anywhere
Yeah, and the place it's
except
coming
she just
from
wants to
is
destroy
like
everyone.
it's coming from a completely
Yeah.
in-universe like thing, which makes it doesn't feel like it's a metaphor for. I mean, it could be for like some ultra doomer like black pilled person or something, but it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like it's a
hmm
metaphor for anything. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm just wrong, but like I don't know. I didn't pick up.
Yeah.
So.
So and to be honest, like this could all have like come to fruition in some way later. Um, but I don't know if it's just it isn't like great as a standalone, you know.
Mhm.
Um, So she's like gonna strangle Vista, but then she's like, oh no, the Skitter's bugs are gonna see me, so she's gonna have to act quick before the bugs sweep over her and notice. So she notices Fault Line's crew and like Weld, and there's like a bunch of Case 53s with them, and her power tells her there was an event that caused a critical division. Ooh, and so she continues just kind of creeping around. And getting more info about the situation from her power. Uh, Stress on the creeping around because she's getting all horny about it.
Yeah, she is.
She's like, oh, this is so good. So she stops at a clothing store and she does her next evil act, which is pants under dress. And then she like draws like a shitty cauldron tattoo with permanent marker on herself, which I just like laughed out loud that she did that. You don't need a cauldron tattoo for them to know you're case 53.
Well, I think that she's trying to build more evidence that she's not a clone, but I'm gonna be
Yeah.
real. I would have thought she was a goddamn clone. She doesn't
With
have
like
any, because she doesn't have any
a
like
Sharpie
mutations that are like
tattoo.
crazy. Because like you know what I mean? Where like think about the other Case 53s. Their mutations are like
Well,
I guess Gully's
but
like
her
almost normal-ish, but like almost
but her
everybody else has like
mutation
space stuff.
that's true, but her mutation does make sense for her like she has like a thinker power and her fucking brain is like oozing out of her head. Um
But I
I
feel
think
like
it
Fault Line should have been you're just Tattletale though.
she's like you're just tattletale. I've spent enough time staring into those bottle green eyes
Yeah, yeah.
to know my love. Um
My first
Yeah,
great love, Tattletale, who spurned me because she's
yeah.
asexual, and I can
I
tell that you are the sexual Tattletale.
this is the sexy tattletale, as they say. Um, dude, I like could not like this scene. This fucking scene. Like, imagine you just finished fighting all these fucking clones, okay? All of these, like, deformed versions of your friends and family. And then this bitch walks up and she's all like, Hi.
Hi.
I, I know you've never heard of me before, but I'm a
I was
Case
working
53
in a call
too.
center from home.
I, I was watching
It's
from really far
literally
away for a while, and I was like wanting to help, but I couldn't really help, and so now I'm here. And then like Wells literally like, wow, what a convenient time for you to arrive. And then just legit, I
it's just
don't know.
it feels like
I'm
such a
sorry.
psyop anyway. It's like what if it was just an actual case 53 but just sent by Cauldron?
Yeah, like this is so suspicious and fucking weird.
That's
This is
the
so
most
suspicious
suspicious
and
thing
weird.
that's ever happened.
This is like and it's like there's like a huge group of people and like it's not like it was one person who's like emotionally vulnerable. Like if she walked up to Weld just on his own, I would be like, "Oh my God, like Weld is so stupid." But there's like 20 people here and one of them is Faultline and she's like
The part of it that I love is when she's like mean mugging basically, like she's externally doing
yeah,
oh I'm sad, but to fault line internally she's like, say it bitch, just try and say something.
just trying to say it. Yeah, she's being so weird. So she puts on her dress. She puts on her pants under her dress. Crazy. She draws on a tattoo with Sharpie. Okay, that was crazy. Sharpie does not look like tattoo. I'm sorry.
It doesn't look
It
like the
doesn't.
case 53 tattoo, which is this really
She should have
intricate like
she should have like fucking branded herself. Like she should have taken a paper clip that she found and bent it into a cauldron C and then heated it up with a candle and then branded herself on the spot.
it's just there's too much time. There's no time for that. She needs to
There's no there's no time for that. I need to walk up right now while they're reforming their team and are open for membership.
listen, it's now or never. She needs to get in on the ground floor of this shit.
Yeah, she's like she's oh stupid. Okay, I'm sorry. Um so she does this and she like puts herself in a shawl and she like shuffles up to them and she's like, "Oh, well, like I'm just a sad little case 53 like you
I'm just a
guys.
little baby.
I
I'm a
I
little
was
guy and
watching
it's my
I was
birthday.
watching from afar and I heard what had happened. And I just wanted to let you know that I think you guys are great."
You
And
guys are really
she like
cool. I watched the battle. I
she
did not show up.
she like models her body language after this pathetic girl named Taylor that
That
she
was the
used to
part
know.
that I liked where she was
I
like,
did like that part too.
yeah, that was so good. That made me feel like, oh, I wish this was real.
Yeah. And it like makes her like so much more convincing and pitiful and they all fucking fall for it. Well, it's like, "Oh my God, you showed up at such a convenient time. The status quo of people like us has just been greatly disrupted."
And Gully, who's being
And
used as an emotional human shield, is
yeah,
over here being like, you don't have to fight, don't worry about it. If you like are at the base, that's good too. So it's like
she's like,
Gully's
if
being
you
the
just
best, and then evil Tattletale's like, you fool, I will use you to stop Faultline from suspecting me.
It's so stupid. Yeah, Faultline's like eyeballing her, and then so she just starts fake crying, and Shamrock gives her a hug, and like Gully's like, "Oh, it's okay. Like we'll just pay you. You don't even have to do anything. you, you can just sit around and have access to all our information at the base or whatever you want." Vale said
I
Tattletale
can live
doesn't
on the
get a good
couch,
read.
you can have my room. You don't have to
Oh my
pay.
God. Tattletale doesn't get a good read on situations unless someone else's weakness is involved. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I want to talk about, well, I'll wait. I have like 2 sentences left and then we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Um, so Tattletale says like she's like I understand what's going on. Like you don't have to explain anything to me. So Well just like keeps talking business with Faultline. He wants to like be a mercenary group, but they're only gonna do good guy jobs. Faultline says that they want to start like making their own portals, and Weld kind of agrees to a partnership with them on that. And he turns to Tattletale and he's like, "Yeah, you wanna invest? Like you wanna get in on the ground floor?" And she's like, just thinking about how she wants to do murder
But
really bad
this is a
and
pretty good
destroy
deal.
everyone.
It's no money down, and you get boarded up.
Yeah, yeah. She's like, I can be patient and do murder and destruction later. So she accepts the offer into the team and introduces herself as Witness. Very good name, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Especially when
it's
she's
like
trying to sell
funny
her
because
like
it's
clairvoyance and stuff.
yeah, yeah. It was like a pretty good it was like a good name. It like kind of riffs off of Tattletale. Like a witness is like the opposite of a tattletale, kind of. Like, I don't know. It's interesting, but that's the chapter. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, what is the variation on Tattletale's power?
I was
Uh-huh.
having a hard time pinning that down, to be honest, because I was thinking about that too. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Me
Um,
neither.
it seems more or less the way it's less always on. It seems to be like more selective.
Mm,
So there's that.
yeah.
Also,
Yeah. It doesn't
like she says
run
about
off.
herself, she's more like muted than the other clones as like one of her this is how I'm the opposite of Tattletale kind of things. Um
Mm-hmm.
and so maybe the idea is that because she can turn off her power, then she can turn off her murder eyes and not want to murder people all the time.
Oh,
Because maybe that's the
that
whole thing why she can control herself later is because like she has the power to tamp it down, to
yeah.
dial it back over
E
there,
evil
Lisa.
evil Tattletale is just like normal Tattletale, but
But
with
she knows how to dial it
self-control.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really interesting to me because I couldn't figure it out. I mean, it seemed a little more
Oh, you know what? Actually, think about
um
this though. As we were told, the earlier a clone is, generally the closer to the original power set that it is.
hmm. Yeah, so maybe when they're overbaked, they have like mostly the same power and it's a little dampened
Yeah, I don't know.
rather
I
than
just
like
thought because
when
maybe
they're
she's the only single one of the Tattletale, and like the first Vista, maybe the first evil Vista's power was just the basic one, you know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's really, really a little strange. I'm just not too sure and like I said, like if this had become a thing, like at least like a one arc kind of thing or something that like maybe we would have heard more about it, and maybe there is like something specific. Like I would say that there's definitely her power seems a bit more grounded. Like she talks a lot about um like the vibrations of the environment and stuff, but that just might be because that's the situation they're in. I really don't know.
yeah.
Um,
And
yeah.
oh, you know
Uh,
what? She's like, I need light to see stuff to get data, which is like kind of true for Tattletale, but kind of Tattletale doesn't need that
I can
because
kind of just see in the dark.
yeah, she can more or less see in the dark.
Yeah, because she can like navigate in Gru's darkness pretty much fine. Like that's what's so great about the Undersiders is
Is
that
that everyone has a power
Alec
synergy
and
that lets them
Rachel,
through, basically.
yeah, they can basically like all navigate better in Gru's darkness than the majority of other capes. Um,
And then it was funny because the one person in their group who it screwed up is Aisha. Um,
mhm.
they don't mix well.
They don't mix well, and he doesn't know when she's.
Yeah, and like they're in the same territory. Like he was thinking about that in his chapter about how it's like, Well, we can't even synergize in a fight, so I don't know.
Oh, poor Aisha. It's such a hard power. Like, it is a great, like, it's a really good power, but it also, like, causes a lot of inconvenience.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good thing they have
Uh,
Tattletale there to mediate.
yeah. Oh, man, I wish evil Tattletale was there. I like, just to talk about the chapter more as a whole, I think that's probably mostly what we're going to do unless you want to delve into any, like, specific character stuff.
Okay, well, I kind of do. I did want to talk about how this would have fit into the arc. I didn't do the
Hmm.
research on it, so I'm not certain if this chapter existed, got nixed, and then he created the other chapter that's the forum stuff, or like how exactly
It
that.
seemed like it from the, oh, let me see,
Oh,
from the
let's look at the
post.
dates. Yeah.
He said, a Wildbow here. I've elected to scrap this chapter. The reaction was fairly negative, but perhaps more importantly, I wasn't happy with it. There were a number of flaws with it on several levels. If you checked in this Thursday hoping for something to read, you can find the chapter here. So it sounds like he posted it and then quickly took it down before posting the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Just be aware that it's no longer canon, and yeah, there's some admitted issues with it. I won't count this as a donation entry. I'll upload another one at some point in the future to make up for the fact that this isn't up, quote unquote, for real. Some readers said this wasn't necessary, but I feel it is from personal pseudo-professional standpoint.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that he had the perspective to remove a chapter that he didn't think was good enough.
Yeah,
Because, you
yeah.
know what? That would suck. But
That it would
also,
be difficult to like come to terms with.
before I read it, I was like, Wildbow is one, an artist, but two, seemingly crazy hard on himself, even so, like for an artist, because
Mhm.
I don't remember exactly. I've talked to you a little bit about it, but I've read his postmortem on Ward, and he's like really down on it and really doesn't like Ward. It seems like, and I'm just like, well, this is a bummer that I read this because like I think Ward is great.
Yeah.
That's my favorite book
Yeah.
you're talking about there, Wildbow.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know I haven't finished it, but it's like I can see like that's a different kind of like that's a I'm an artist, and also I've been hearing like lots of opinions or this and that, but this was probably like the best decision. Vale said the breadcrumbs method where every chapter is canon to build the remainder of the story. This chapter would be so hard to keep because of it. I adore Ward. Yeah. We all
Agree with
stand
both.
Ward.
Yeah, I think
Um,
this would have
yeah,
been tough to work around because like having witness be like a thing that doesn't get mentioned here, and then we kind of know about it in the meta story, and then is
yeah,
like
and
name dropped
Krista
in
also
the
knows
other. Yeah,
about it, and and Witness is like, oh, like she's aren't gonna tell anyone.
yeah. It's so weird because like if the events went down like the way the chapter presents them, like yeah, Vista would tell them, and Tattletale would know, and
She would,
everyone would know.
they would tell that she would tell them at the end of the after action report.
Vista's
Like
so
they fucking go,
professional. You think that she
they all
wouldn't
go
tell?
to a meeting together and talk through exactly everything that happened. Like,
She'd be
do
like,
you
so there
think we're
wasn't a mutation beam?
Yeah, she's gonna be like, yeah, and then I was crushed under all these rocks and stuff, but I was cool. It was cool because I was using my power, and then I found fucking Shatterbird and Tattletale in the dome, and like Tattletale was all messed up already from being an echidna, and they'd be like, oh, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And she'll be like, like her head was giant, and they'd be like, what do you
They'd
mean?
be like, why don't you tell me what you think
What?
happened then? She says to the group.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, it's not like, and even whatever. Like it would have come up so fast.
yeah.
Um,
Some of
I,
the like leaps in
I,
logic, this just feels like I don't know what the production was like, but it feels like it was written hastily. So,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that. I think that it needed
ending with the Greg chapter instead, like, ooh, spice. Yeah.
Okay. Did we want to talk about characters?
I
Is there
do.
anything else we have to say about?
I
Go
wanted
ahead.
to say about the various characters. So like Echidna, very normal. This is what I expect. I
Yeah.
liked the minor interaction with the Gru, but I thought that his dialogue was bad. Uh, then the Shatterbird stuff was okay, but I kind of liked her
Mm-hmm.
characterization better in the Hookwolf chapter, even though I disliked that chapter overall.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought her backstory was really strange. Like, it's like Greg said, surely there are more effective and less expensive options than buying a cauldron vial and spiking a drink with it.
Come on, it's fun. I think with a little bit of work, we could have figured it out.
Plus, the other thing is, like, what if she became, well, one, what she did, or the Ash Beast, or, like, I don't know, the Memory Soul Reaper that eats your mind and then makes you relive all your worst nightmares?
Yeah, so they clearly weren't thinking things through.
Yeah, yeah. They did die, but that was about the best outcome that they could hope from this situation.
I think it could have been a fun mistake. Like, what if, okay, I couldn't pick up how old she was in this story, but I assumed she was like a teenager.
Yeah, what if burst
Um,
power use on intentional drink for trying to not need security for her anymore? Oh, and now you're the
mhm.
security for your mom and sister too.
Yeah, or
Except
like
they're
I
all
feel like a really
exploded.
like I feel like another like spoiled girl thing could have been like she found this vial as like it's like it was like a birthday gift that she like secretly unwrapped early and she was like,
Or
"Oh my
like for the
God," and then
other
just fucking
sibling or
drank it.
something, you know? Like the other
Yeah,
sibling
yeah.
had gone through like a whole thing and was maybe older and she was supposed to drink it and was much more responsible and stuff, but then
Or like they were
Shatterbird with
going through the
her.
training or whatever, but she just fucking does it because she thinks that she's better than everyone
Well,
else.
I was thinking there could be like a
She's
jealousy element, like, why did I get to drink the Powell's vial? Because,
yeah,
you know, she's got a
exactly.
British accent. Um, but,
Yeah, I think there's like other things that could have made it like both an accident. Because I think the interesting thing is that it was an accident, like an accidental cauldron vial, and then it like causes essentially her trigger event, which is that she killed all these people on accident, which it didn't seem like she like wanted to kill her family or whatever.
right.
Um, and then like is like, oh, now I have to pretend it was all on purpose because it was too embarrassing. I'm so embarrassed and ashamed of myself that I have to fucking go out of my way to kill 10,000 million more people.
Yeah. It was on
It was
purpose?
all
Question
on
mark?
purpose. Um, who else do we interact with? Vista. Vista's like pretty normal and in character, I feel.
Yeah,
Weld
she.
is so stupid. Well, I blame Weld and Faultline for this end scene.
Well, I blame them, but also it's clear that Tattletale uses Gully as a patsy.
hmm
Because she's like, now that Gully's on my side, Faultline can get fucked. There's no way she's gonna say anything.
Yeah, this is like like she was accepted by these other people. If they would be like a hate crime basically if Faultline was like, have you considered this person's actually a clone? They would be like, I cannot believe you just said that.
You can see the Case 53 tattoo right there. Can you? Can you look a little closer?
Like a little closer, it's like doing that thing where it like spreads through the wrinkles on your skin or
It would
whatever.
be so funny if the Sharpie got on the dress and was just like smudged and
It's
crap.
like smudged.
Oh no. Oh,
And I just imagined it was drawn really badly too because of like how like the poor control she has over her body.
she has really bad
and
fine
like
motor control.
and
How
like
did she
and
fool
like
these
her
people?
and she like can't use her head like her fucking head's
She
like
can't
on the
like turn
ground. She
to
like
look
can't
at it.
really see anything.
Oh, oh God.
um Greg said, clearly, you've never been so embarrassed that you became a mass murderer to cover it up. It's a perfectly normal response. It does kind of make sense for like her craziness. Like her thing is that like her reputation and what people think about her or whatever. So you gotta follow through.
Yeah.
Um
I had sort of
yeah.
thought from Jack's chapter specifically when he thinks about his own team members that most of Shatterbird's personality, as self-described to Hookwolf in the other chapter, was genuine and from her, and that the only thing he was doing was keeping her on track. Not that he had
Mhm,
planted all these ideas there. So, like, that was
mhm.
his take on the situation, and I had no reason to question it, because he is very explicit about like the way that he's
When he's
controlling
being
them all. Yeah.
manipulative, yeah, he would have been like, "Oh, I've been working on this specifically with
So
Shatterbird to like,
that's why that felt out of place to me. Like that's why there were like
uh-huh."
several things
That
that
makes
didn't
sense.
quite jive. Like that felt out of place. The romantic element between like from Shatterbird's perspective felt out of place.
Yeah,
Um
I was like, I know that like Jack is like conventionally handsome or whatever, but like when she said that,
he's such a
I was like, what?
detestable freak like
I like
personality
read it
wise that
again.
like
I was like, yeah, he like transcends in the same way that like, I mean, it's not even really the same as Coil because Coil is still like a human in some ways.
yeah.
But Jack is like, I
Jack
don't
and
know.
Crawler are like Jack and Crawler and Mannequin and the
Yeah,
Siberian
they're like
Projection are all the same
monsters.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like even though the Jack doesn't have like the physical differences that the rest of them have, like he is just a
Like
monster. I could never imagine.
to me Shatterbird and Firestarter, that's her
Burn
name,
Scar.
Burnscar. Those
Yes,
two
they're
are on the
people.
same tier where like
Yeah.
they're in this thing and they're mass murderers, but they are in some way more human and reachable and like they're like I think Cherish is also in the same mold as Jack,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
she's
yeah.
like a completely beyond good and evil
I think the thing is,
like demon.
the very short amount of time we spent in the scene where they're all lounging, like any situation where they're relaxing, Burnscar and Shatterbird
Are
might be doing
reading.
something normal. They were sitting and reading, and Jack and Bonesaw were being insane instead. Like they
Yeah, like
are
Jack's
so
off
out of
time is like, oh, I'm moving a body, or I'm like casually killing an unpowered person, and then
yeah,
like their
but
downtime is like fucking reading, and like
yeah,
Bonesaw's like, I'm
like
torture murdering a person, and it's like they're still freaks for
yeah.
being in the room with Bonesaw, but like
But they're able to they have like anything else other than that. And Jack doesn't have anything else other than that.
yeah.
That's his whole thing.
And
And so
like the
it like grossed
Siberian's
me
other thing
out
is like, I have to eat people sometimes, I guess.
just for fun.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I didn't like seeing it's like as like horrible and disgusting and jarring as when Jack is like pretending to be Gru, and so he's like being vaguely romantic with Taylor. It's
oh
like
yeah.
it was like as startling to hear that Shatterbird was like romantic that and it's like a half and half thing, but to me it's like she has romantic feelings for Jack, but she's not interested in having like a romantic relationship in general because she's so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But not like she's aromantic or that she wasn't interested in him. It's just like more of a choice or whatever. But that gave me the same like horrible like oh my god, get away from him.
Then again, I have to
Uh,
remind myself that he looks like Jack looks like Johnny Depp, and people are into the real Johnny Depp, so they clearly can get over stuff.
yeah. Freaking Jack. Ugh, I hate him. He's like not even in this chapter, but like, so it was like a jump scare
Yeah.
when all of a sudden she's like in love with Jack. I was like, pardon?
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Well, I guess that's the most I have to say about that character. Goodbye, Shatterbeak.
Goodbye forever.
I did think it was weird that there would have been like such a gap between when she did the second Shatterbird explosion and stuff, because like her bursting all the stuff happens during the battle, but like that's the same moment when Vista breaks the thing, and it just makes the timeline like have to hold together in a weird way, and
Mhm.
I don't know. It's strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. I came into this chapter so much wanting to be like, they didn't have to cut this, and I came away from reading it like, no,
I
it's
know.
good. They made, yeah,
Uh,
no, this is good. I'm
he
glad
made,
that he cut it
yeah,
out.
he made the right choice. I do think it's redeemable in some way. Was that all the characters? Was there anything for powers, knowledge, and world building? I feel like I wanted to talk about the
Clones.
clones vaguely again. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how much of that, like, how much of the kind of hollowness was like intentional versus unintentional. Because I feel like it could have gone either way. Like you said, the like being able to kind of like turn it on and off her bloodthirstiness in a way that like other clones seemingly weren't able to. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm not
I do
sure.
think that I do think that I would have liked in general if one of the clones had survived because like that is a theme that we get later in the book where there are especially in war there are like clones or remakes or different versions of characters and
And that's
they
why
have
now I'm
to
questioning what
make
I
their
said
own
earlier
way.
is because, like, yeah, you see things that are like completely stemmed from powers, but
Hmm.
I feel like the Nilbog goblins are more like I'm not sure what exactly they feel like there's more there than the echidna clones who
Right.
are just
The
so
Nilbog.
specifically murderous, because like the Nilbog clones like have totally their own way of like being or whatever, but like they're
It
not
feels like they have
just
their own
here to
like
kill.
social lives and stuff, and
Yeah.
they're kind of individuals even though they are like so connected.
Hmm. So I just think there's more to explore with that concept.
Hmm.
And you know what?
Yeah.
There was a lot of time between Worm and Ward, so in terms of writing.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree, but I'll just personally imagine that one of the clones got away, made their own life, super happy now. Everything turned out great for them. We
is
just
the
never saw
clone of
them.
a normal human who got baked the exact right amount, and I hate Mondays. Actually, no, he hate
I
Fridays
want
and
to
love
kill
Mondays.
Mondays. Oh God, they love Mondays. They're
I
just
just
they're just
love
like
being bright and early.
they're just an energy vampire. Like they want to destroy their enemies, but by destroy their enemies, they mean like really like irritate and grate them until they like
Yeah,
pass out.
it's like a Colin Robinson with a really gruff voice, but also he's
Uh-huh.
good at office work, so he's like an anti-personality hire where they can't go
Yeah.
without him. Um,
Yeah. He's indisposable.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's so good.
I hope you have had your coffee, everyone, for we are in for a big day.
I scheduled meetings 8 a.m. on a Monday morning so that everybody has enough energy.
And on Wednesday, he says everyone's least favorite phrase. He says, "It's
Hump
hump
day.
day."
See that?
Yeah, it's
I
his
don't
evil
know.
trait.
I do
Dude,
feel like I'm being assaulted when people say, "Oh, it's hump day."
yeah, people do say that, and I don't like it.
I don't like it. I saw this is relevant. I saw a TikTok recently about how there's a lot of like inappropriate phrases that have been super desensitized to the point where people will use them in professional contexts after like years and years. So things like I guess things like hump day, but more things like brown nosing and kissing up and sucking and that kind of stuff where they're like sexual, but it's like okay to use at work. And they were like raw dogging will be the next term.
Oh, it for sure
I
will
think
be.
that's
Yeah,
it
people are
definitely
starting
will
to say
like
stuff
oh yeah.
like if you
They'll
go
be
on a
like,
plane
"Oh,
and
do
you
you
don't
want
have any media, they're calling it raw dogging a plane ride.
they're gonna be like, "Oh, do you want to send out an agenda or are we just gonna raw dog it?"
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna be like, "Hell yeah, brother."
that is for sure. We are gonna in like 5 years, we're gonna be working with a 20-year-old who is gonna say that.
Oh my God.
You know, it's the
Um,
future. The people we work
I
with are
I think
babies.
it's gonna be old people. Freaking old people say the craziest. My least favorite thing that old people at work say is when well, it's actually my favorite. When they say they're gonna be out of pocket, they mean something different
That's
than what
hilarious.
I mean. But it's like freaking Kirk yesterday was like, I'm gonna be out of pocket all next week. And I was like, damn dude, same. Like I'm also planning on being out of pocket all week. Phil said,
Uh,
what's wrong with hump
okay, wait.
day?
I have to
Come
say
on.
my joke response to that veil is
Okay, okay,
that it
okay.
is one hump camel propaganda and two
Yes.
hump camel erasure.
Uh-huh.
Because a true week, the humps are Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah. What is wrong with raw dogging the music for a flight? Yeah, we love raw dogging.
Well, no. So
Um,
raw dogging a flight is where you use no media and you don't listen to music. You just sort of sit down,
you just
power
sit
down,
there.
and stare straight
I
ahead.
do
You're
that
not sleeping either.
sometimes.
You're just staring for like some of the. And I think it's a new form of masculine self torture because some of these guys are
Oh,
going on a
really?
14-hour flight and they're just sitting there staring straight forward, not doing anything for 14
I
hours.
I
I
didn't know
mean,
this
maybe
was a
they're
thing, but
meditating or whatever, but you know,
yeah, I do that on flights, but I like have a meditative space that I enter into. So it's like I don't know, maybe that is what they're doing. Um,
Vale,
Bill said you're all
I'm getting old and
let the
judgy.
kids
I will
have
say
their
that.
cool
But on the other
let
hand,
the kids have
Victoria's
their
not
raw dogging.
because Victoria's saying she's worried about old people saying raw dogging.
I don't want yeah. If the kids were saying it, I would think it was funny because they know what they're saying. But I feel like the old people don't know what they're saying, and so they're going to be. It's just like it's a degree of awareness that I don't appreciate. A
Mm-hmm.
lack of awareness that I don't appreciate.
Yeah, yeah.
um, I'm ageist against old people. I'm sorry if any of you are over the age of 48. 40, I feel like 46 is like a good cutoff.
If you're older than Kevin's current age, so like 38 or whatever, then you're
Yeah.
toast.
Then you're then you're old and I hate you. And when you say hump day, I hit in your general direction.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You're older, Avail, you're
Oh,
not older
Vale.
than 46.
My
Don't
God.
say it. It's true. It's okay. My nickname is Hump Day. Oh no. At
Oh
least your
boy.
nickname isn't Raw Dog. Anyways.
Well, that's my extended
Um,
nickname is Raw Dogging Hump Day.
that's actually my full Christian nickname.
Well, that's when I go to work with no phone, and I just have to just do work all
Oh
day.
my
Raw
God.
dogging hump day.
Don't even say that. See, that's different. Raw dogging a flight versus raw dogging a work day. Raw dogging a work day is psychotic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is worse. Um, I know that this is just nothing, but in the bonus section, I took two quotes out of it.
Yeah.
These are both internal monologue for evil Tattletale, as I will continue calling her. Um, so the first one was, of course, pyramids and spheres were the strongest shapes. Um, Great
Yeah.
line.
Good
But
line.
then the other one, and that one's like a normal thing that like it feels like a book line that I'm just making a meme line. But this next one feels like it is making fun of the prequels and itself, and that's why I was shocked to read it. But and sand has a way of getting everywhere. It just
Yeah.
yeah, it really felt like I hate sand. It's so coarse and rough, and it gets everywhere.
That's exactly I'm not a Star Wars fiend, but I was like, oh my God. Like this is too much um
It's the
this is
thing.
too much like hating sand in Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah.
This sand has a way of getting everywhere. It's like, come on. I did think those were pretty funny one-liners. I hope that those are thoughts that normal Tattletale also would have had.
Yeah, oh, definitely. That's the full overlap. Is she would have thought those two things. Anyway, um, the audience participation. Unless you have anything more to say about these past.
Go for it.
Oh, actually, no. There was one thing in after we did the chapter that I had wanted to bring up, which is that at the point where the conversation goes and she says shorter sentences serve two ends. They made it easier for the sound she wanted to make and they had more impact. Then she goes on to be like ridiculously articulate with a couple stutters, and this was before she had like the 43 minutes to practice moving her lips around and like be a freak. Also, like not like a differently shaped person, just like a personality freak where she's like, I'm just going to spend all my time training. I'm Naruto over here, and my most powerful weapon is my voice, so I've got to do the most, sit-ups with my face.
Yeah.
So she spent 43 minutes mouthing words and not speaking, which is different than just not speaking. But also, before any of that happened, she got out, doesn't matter. There's no dignified end. Covered in dirt, squashed by concrete, or suffocate, capillaries burst, face swells, lips turn blue, instincts take over. Scrape your fingernails against floor until there's trails of blood. Further along you go, worse it gets. Less and less control. Wait hours, days, get dehydrated, hallucinate. See, like, it just felt like a strange. And I know that this was like a lead in to Shatterbird figuring out she's Tattletale. Like I get that. But it felt so articulate compared to stuff that's later after she did practice. It felt like they, or he, because it's specifically Wildbow, had moved it from a later section of the chapter back to here.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I agree. There were just a lot of like kind of weird little moments.
Normally there's not that much that like jumps out at me, but a lot of stuff in this chapter was like alarm bells.
Yeah. And I hope that like I said, I feel like like maybe I was primed to be more critical of this chapter, and it like also obviously isn't going to like mesh with the rest of the story because like Vale said, it's like a daisy chain story or the breadcrumbs method. Yeah. So it's like, but I was going into it like excited for a fun time.
I thought it would be because I've heard about it so many times, and I was like, "Oh, this side event happens in this chapter that doesn't exist anymore." And in my brain, I was always like, "That's probably pretty cool or whatever," and it was just fine. Like I wanted to like it for sure, more than I do, and I do like some parts of it. I like the part where she was being mean to Taylor.
Yeah, I did think that was funny. She's like, that loser Taylor. I'll act just like her and they'll think I'm so fucking pathetic and ashamed of myself.
I'll act like Taylor, the worm.
The worm. Dude, this evil Tattletale and Cherish would be great friends.
Yeah. So I'm gonna read the question and then start diving through the things that were said in the chat.
Cool.
So how would you change the chapter to try and make it work? And the beginning of the answer is Halloween saying, "That's the one with the tattletale clone, right?" And then doesn't have headphones, so can't hear the discussion for the issue. Why he scrapped it, but he had thought it was, or I'm not sure for Halloween. Halloween had thought that Wildbow had scrapped the chapter because it would have caused plot issues later, which probably. But the weird thing is that it's almost like Wildbow doing the word thing later and hinting at Witness is like saying it still happened and there weren't plot issues. It just happened slightly different. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just such a strange like state that it got partially brought back.
A hint that happens? Like, is it just like this person named Witness? Because it could have just been. I
forget if they actually say Witness or if like just the crowd identified in one instant that it was Witness. Because it's like someone who's like, I'm not a case 53, but close enough, or something like that. And it's like,
oh yeah,
yeah, it's something like that. But yes. Yeah. Due to, an entire other tattletale with the sole seething desire to ruin main Tattletale's life being around would cause some problems due to Tattletale's capabilities. But part of my point about the end of the chapter being actually the best part of it, despite all the weirdness, is that it is supposed to be about her redemption through forcing herself to act good to bide her time and then becomes actually good. Like, I can just tell. Like, that is what's happening. I know how Wildbow writes. That is the goal with that, in my opinion. Like it's clear as day. Like I would say it's even like almost heavy-handed because he does this sort of thing with more grace and Ward. Yeah. Anyway, so but I agree that potentially there could have been tons of problems, and I it's a whole thing, but I do think it's due to the low quality overall. And then the change was, I might have her die at the end for some reason instead. I don't know. I do like that it gives Shatterbird some fraction of characterization and a longer look at tattletaling. I agree with the tattletaling part, but I don't like the Shatterbird characterization, so, But, what do you think?
I agree. I'm lukewarm on the Shatterbird characterization. I was kind of thinking that something I would change is like maybe I wouldn't have stuck Shatterbird in the dome. I would have maybe swapped her out for Vista, and it could have been like they're just trapped in the dome because the fighting is like happening above them, or there's like people navigating so they can't get out of it, and Vista's like considering killing this
yeah, like a moral quandary for Vista where she does know about the clones.
And then because I don't think that the Shatterbird backstory is like that important. Like I don't think it added like a ton. Even if it was like better quality, I don't know if we really need it.
Yeah, and I honestly feel like the like 5 things we came up with were kind of all better than what the actual.
Yeah, I think there could be more focus. And then something else I would love if the chapter started out with the Tattletale clone inside Echidna and forming, and like what that looks like, because I think that could be super cool, and it could like give us like a lot of empathy for the character with like whatever she's going through while she's forming. Like maybe it is like a pure split, you know what I mean? Like she's Tattletale and then suddenly she's the Tattletale clone because she like has all her memories, and then she has like essentially like another trigger event because she's like going through these trigger events like inside of Echidna.
Yeah, I think it definitely could have been like really good.
So I think that would have been really cool to like I like a really cool ambiance and like explore like a new type of character and like give you a lot of empathy for these clones that just like get totally demolished in this arc. Like I know that we do have the moral implications are talked about or whatever. And I agree with the fact that they're like, we just can't deal with that right now. we we just need to like protect ourselves and protect the city. And so like that's the decision that they make. But I think that would have added a lot to the clones. And then yeah, I think that I don't know, swapping out Shatterbirds for somebody else that would have given us like more room like to explore Tattletale clone's psyche, and or like even if she was by herself, I feel like she could have like we could have
like
explored some more.
there can be like exploration through the sorts of things that happened with Shatterbird, but I just think that that wasn't, in this case, it either wasn't executed on or it wasn't like really a viable option because it just didn't work for me.
Yeah, and then I kind of agree that like I think that we could have ended the chapter with her being alive, but I do think that like it probably would have just made more sense for her to die or for it to be more ambiguous. Like I don't remember who said that, but
that was Halloween.
One of the
because
yes,
so
Halloween.
far we've only read Halloween's answer.
Oh, okay, but that's kind of my idea of what we could have changed. And then I just don't think the last part of the scene, like her joining the Case 53s in that moment,
it's not believable.
Is not believable. I think she could have joined them like the next day.
Yeah, she could have waited until they announced their whole thing on Parahumans
yeah,
Online,
she could have like,
and then been like,
yeah,
"I've come
exactly.
out of the woodwork because I heard about you."
Exactly. That's. I think that
so
would have
believable
been
comparatively. And then she could have done like she could have attempted to do the cauldron thing. But I will tell you, she would have been found out on the tattoo eventually, no matter what, because they learned how to interpret them, and they're more or less QR codes. So
right. So that would have, and that could have been a cool thing, because then they could have like gone through, like if she had reformed, then it could have been this whole arc, like oh my gosh, like she was lying to us, but here's the thing, like she does have all these like she kind of is a Case 53. Like it Cauldron did make her like this. Cauldron is Noelle's fault, and she's Noelle's fault. Like. Or sorry,
yeah.
Noelle is Cauldron's fault and she's Noelle's fault or whatever. Like she kind of is Case 53 in a roundabout way, and she also has powers and she also has these physical deformities, and they kind of sync up with like the head part at least, to kind of syncs up with her power. And like, yeah, I think that could have been good. I don't mind having an evil Tattletale running around. Like people in the comments, I'm kind of reading it. They're all like, "This is like the worst. Like this is the worst possible situation that could have happened," and that was part of the reason that they didn't like it. I don't think that's true. An evil Alexandria running around would have been worse. An evil Eidolon or Legend still running around would have been worse. Like I know that Tattletale's
yeah,
like
if there was a secret
like,
Eidolon. Oh, that'd be so bad.
There's a lot of characters that could have been way worse, and it would have been more, not worse, but like I think that it would have been like in poor taste if there was still like an alive Skitter clone or something like that. Like it just, I don't know, it would just kind of like be really
this feels
strange.
Slightly more on the table.
Yeah.
I still think I'm still mixed on it. I think that Witness is canon still alive at the end of Worm and everything.
I'm thinking I will just believe that Witness is alive and that it happened the way that we described, where she went online after a reasonable amount of time and was like, "Hey, I want to join your team."
Yeah.
Vale said, "I get the feeling that most clones are not capable of surviving." Yeah, that makes sense too. That's probably why there were no like leftover civilians, because they couldn't have got all of them. But Tattletale's capable of surviving. She's very evil. She's got a lot of resources.
It just seems like most of them didn't have the capacity to bide their time. So they would have just kept flipping out.
Yeah.
They had no chill. That was her superpower, was having chill.
That's her superpower, is that she's kind of weak and kind of sucks, but she's got hella chill.
Yeah. I actually invited Witness over. I mean, she's actually pretty chill.
Dude, and I feel like if she was able to get through her problems, I do feel like Tattletale would just like accept her. Like she would collaborate with her.
I don't know. It's hard to say because
I mean, I
Tattletale's
think
like
they would
so
they would both be
cagey.
like planning to take the other one down all the time, but they would like be friendly and still work with each other.
Well, I just think about like the way that Tattletale treats some of their associates that she's like less keen on, where she just like
Right.
kind of is like "fuck you" every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Um, Vale said, that's what I meant by capable in
See, yeah,
part.
I
And then
agree
Greg
with
said,
Greg.
I think Tattletale's one of those people who would not be able to handle their own clone. Okay, I'm sorry. Me and my clone would be bestie.
Yeah, me and my clone would.
I would be so happy to have an evil version of my clone because I would feel better about myself in comparison, and she would feel better about herself in comparison. Like, oh, look at this non-evil dork, and I'd be like, ugh, like I'm so much morally better.
So you sure you're not the evil one?
I might be the evil.
Okay, so next answer, we got a response to the thing that was said earlier. 2 plus 4 times 5 is responding back. I thought it was scrapped because it felt like an unnecessary punch in the gut that ruined the already Pyrrhic victory of the Echidna arc, and because Wildbow himself wasn't happy with the chapter. I
Yeah,
think that
that's
that's
kind
what
of
all
what he
these
said.
fans are saying about the Pyrrhic
The
victory, but
fans
that's like
think that.
strange. Like, I don't agree with that. I would say that this
Yeah,
chapter, this it didn't even feel that ominous to me. Like it
I mean, it's
felt like
a
he
little
was.
bit on it.
It felt like he was twinging things in the direction of like, but even a clone can be redeemed. Like that's how it felt like instantly to me.
Yeah, I do think that's like our perspective though after like having experienced such things in Ward because that's this is kind of this would be like the first example of like just some random clone of somebody being out there. It would be new for sure,
Yeah,
but I also think
it's
that
just such
like
a such
I was
it's such a strong reaction that they're like this
yeah,
ruined it.
I wouldn't have thought like, oh my God, this was like so horrible, and he just was throwing out the worst thing that could possibly happen. Because I don't agree with that. I don't think it's the worst thing that
I
could
mean, he
possibly
didn't
happen.
kill any of the main characters. What?
Yeah.
Um, the only one who died was Shatterbeak.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Good.
Halloween response
Good
also,
riddance.
yeah. To the sentiment, I might have her die at the end. 2 plus 4 times 5 had said, I do like this solution though, especially if the disgruntled Case 53s are the ones to catch on to her tricks and dispose of her as opposed to just blindly accepting her into the upper echelons of the irregulars. See, that's what I'm
Mm.
saying. I think they would have seen right through her.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
because the way she approached was the most sus thing that ever happened.
yeah. Like the way she like comes out of the shadows. Her clothes still have freaking tags on them. Like I just imagine they're like they've got like sales rack tags like
Well, I
dangling
don't take
off.
the tags off because
She's like,
live
"Oh."
alone.
I didn't know in this
So
universe
all
that
of your
they could
clothes are
tag
from right in that one store right there.
that outlet that's
Ah,
right there that I
yes.
can see. I can even see where the window is shattered that we watched you climb out the window and walk this direction.
But I'm just a little guy.
No, I was just watching from afar because I came here to help, but then I decided not to help.
That's so sus. Oh my god. Okay, I gotta move on.
Oh God.
Okay, so we got the response from Halloween to 2 plus 4 times 5 from the why it was scrapped perspective. That makes sense. I liked things about it, but it does feel off in tone, and it seems like it's starting a plot thread that would not. Uh, would not functionally go anywhere. Sorry, that was just punctuated. Anyway. Um, yeah, I don't
And
know.
then yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Basic, more or less right. Um,
Vale said, Hi, fellow Case 53s. Check out my tattoo. I've been disguised, but now I can lead if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fellow teens.
Yeah, it's definitely a hello fellow teens moment
Yeah.
with that. And then, I didn't bring it up, but she says shitbird multiple times, and I almost got like a compilation of like Leahy and Randy and different people from Trailer Park Boys just saying, "You shitbird."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a lot of shitbird. I just don't like it when I don't like when she makes fun of people's names. It hurts my feelings.
Mm-mm.
I don't know. It hurts my feelings. It's just in the Cape world, like the names are so precious and I don't know. And so it's like she's just like breaking a huge rule that I know like shouldn't be a big deal, but it is a big deal.
It's a big deal to me.
It's a big deal even when the person sucks. You shouldn't call them shitbird. Come on. No, I mean it's fine that she called her
Well, maybe
shitbird.
the clone was Canadian.
But it was also the but it was also the
Such a
fact that
shithawk.
she was like, and your ass is gonna be covered in shit from shitting yourself.
God.
And then proceeds to call her shitbird like 20 times. I can read Vale's response. We'll have to save this 21.2 later.
Oh
Don't
yes,
forget that
we
it's here.
cannot read that at the
19
moment.
point Y. I think there are two ways to improve the chapter. One is to have the clone be a pure souled, sweet, thoughtful version of Lisa, who is basically a superpowered Jessica Yamada. Oh my god, immediately helping everyone overcome their weaknesses while informing the purity of their security flaws. The second is to have the chapter clone Dinah, who swaps all the notes she has handed out to things like what I mentioned above, complete destructor by sticky notes.
Oh hell
Okay,
yeah.
we'll have the punchline to this joke next week when we read the other one about the notes.
Oh dear
But
God. Well, yeah,
that's
we'll keep it in
so
mind.
funny. I would love like a really like Jessica Yamada, like a calming, meditative version of Lisa, because like that would like make her it would just make her so angry.
Oh man, she'd be like one of those people who'd be like, "You've got to calm down."
Yes.
What is it,
She's like, deep
Sandy?
breaths. Let's do our rectangular breathing exercises. And Tattletale like fucking stabs her.
Oh, I'm gonna have to teach you about box breathing.
Oh my god. She's like, Lisa, I know you're acting out because you feel like I'm talking down to you, but really.
No,
Oh
I
my.
am not condescending. I just want to
And
help you out. You're having a
I
hard
think
time, girl.
I think it's really good because like you could have that character be like super 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 evil and like this is the way that they're pulling it off is
Yeah.
by like projecting themselves as a better good version of Tattletale. That's a good one. Vale said super therapist versus Tattletale. Now that would be a chapter. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, so did I had written previously on, so I'm gonna just
Previously
copy and
on.
paste. This is the 21.2 chapter question. Reposting. Well, let's make sure to put the S in posting. I'm not repotting.
Mhm.
So, write your own comedic Dinah notes to Taylor.
Yes.
So, yes, I stand by that question. It shall be on the next one.
Mhm.
Anyway, though, good episode. Vale's leaving. You'll catch the end. You'll catch the last minute or so. That's great. Greg's saying cheers already, so that's how we know we got bail.
We gotta wrap it up. It's like flickering the lights.
Yeah.
It's like, pack it up.
All right, I'm starting the theme. I'm gonna read the links and all, but You're gonna have to quip at the end, and I think I know what you're gonna say based on past precedent.
Oh, dear God.
So this music, possibly the last time we'll be hearing it? Who knows? Queen Scourge by ScarlettXOX on Twitch. Or she can be found on twitch.tv/Scarlett_Rogue. Our Discord link can be found in the channel description and the stream description. The author of the work being discussed can be supported on Patreon at patreon.com/Wildbow. The full text of the work is available for free online at parahumans.wordpress.com, and there's also a fan-made audiobook of the entire work at audioworm.rain-online.org. And, man, we still got to run out the clock on this song, so what have you got to say to the people?
Pyramids and spheres were the strongest shapes, and sand has a way of getting everywhere.
Nice. That's some poetry we can get behind. I hope that's in your opus, your final published work. I wonder what you'll call it. Tattletale's Lament.
Tattletale, Ode to Pyramids and Spheres and Sand.
That's definitely it. All right, we made it to the end. You're safe.
Thank God.